Thank you.
Thank you, Doreen. We miss you. So, guys, anyone else?
The lady.
Hello everyone, my name is Catherine Kilel. Actually, I'm a student at the Institute of Finance Management. Actually, I'm not in any organization, but I'm looking forward to learn more from you guys.
Thank you, Ms. Catherine.
Hi everyone. My name is Kelvin Norbert. I'm the business and innovation lead from Vijana Think Tank. Nice to be here.
Thank you. More guys.
More ladies. I only had 2 ladies.
More ladies.
Hello everyone, my name is Faith Mate. I am a medical student from Wembley University, and also I am a fellow, Millennium Fellowship class, 2023. Yeah, it was nice. It is nice being here, and I'm looking forward to learning more about you.
Thank you very much.
Ladies, more ladies. But also if you can switch on your camera so that we can see you. It's possible.
Right. Hi everyone.
Hello.
All right, my name is Hannah Charles Wandry. I'm from the Center for Relations. I'm so excited for this session and I'm looking forward to learn a lot from you. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Janet Gabriel Kundana and I'm from Tanzania. I'm a second year student at the University of Dar es Salaam and I'm looking forward to learn a lot from you. Thank you.
Anyone else? Has everyone introduced themselves?
Hello everyone. Hello everyone.
Hi.
My name is Jessica Gaudes Masika. I'm from Tanzania. I'm a student at River University in India. I'm studying LLM in business and corporate law. I'm looking forward to this meeting. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Hello,
Good
everyone.
afternoon. My name is Moza Masood and I'm from NAMYO Organization, Tanzania. And it's a pleasure to be here and I'm looking forward for the positive outcomes of this info session. Thank you.
Thank you. So anyone else?
Hello, everyone. Greetings. I hope I'm audibly clear.
Yes, we are clear.
Well, my name is Emmanuel Peter. Peace and Security Lead here at Vijana Think Tank. And I'm glad and it's a privilege to be here with you all. Looking forward to learn more from you.
Thank you. Thank you, Emmanuel. So anyone else who wants to introduce themselves? Asha, Miss Asha, we can see you that you have not introduced yourself.
Anyone else? Let's leave a room for 3 people so we can start our session.
So, you can see your hands raised. You're welcome, Asha. Okay, if no one is ready, then we can just proceed. So guys, you're welcome in this session. Today I'm delighted to be with Ms. Karim Bati, who's my co-moderator. So In this session, we are glad to have youth from Tanzania, but also youth from other NAM member-based countries, such as Azerbaijan, but also we have Russia. Russia is an observer state member country in NAM. So this is a really nice session, but also we are expecting also the Prime Minister's office responsible with youth to join us. They say that they are going to join a bit late, but we're also expecting them. So we could start while proceeding. I believe they would live by that time. So, Karin, you're welcome to proceed.
Thank you. For who came late, I'd like to start by saying hello, good afternoon to you all. We're still waiting for this day, the session between Vijana Think Tank and NAMYO organization. First, I would like to welcome Mansuza Kim to introduce Vijana Think Tank. What does Vijana Think Tank do? And how we relate Vijana Think Tank with youth in making sure that they reach their goals or reach the sustainable development goals in the communities or in the society at large. So welcome.
I was actually expecting that you're going to do it. So, Vijana Think Tank is a national youth-led organization that envisions a world where young people have opportunities, but also we engage young people so that they can come up with ideas, but also creative solutions toward complementing Tanzania's development agenda. So, Vijana Think Tank, some of you may know, we have started existing since 2017. So we're youth platform, and some of you are members here, but also some of you who are not our members. Also, this is an opportunity to engage with Vijana Think Tank and also be part of our community. So you're all welcome, and we're glad to have you.
Thank you so much, Mansuza. As you all heard, we can all be parts of the Vijana Think Tank family. So you joining this conversation, you're already among us, among the Vijana Think Tank. I would like to welcome Emmanuel Peter to share with us about global cooperation affairs. Like, he will explain how global cooperation works, how different youth can come with different agendas, engagement, collaboration, cooperation with the global cooperation. So Emmanuel Peter, welcome. Emmanuel.
Mr. Emmanuel. Okay, I think maybe he's having some technical difficulties. Let me see. Okay, I don't see him in the chat, so maybe he's having some technical difficulties. But either way, today's session is about global cooperation, the role of youth in global cooperation. So mainly, what we intend to do today is see how it's come together as young people, but also discuss our role and also analyze opportunities that are also available within global cooperation in today's world. And also, this is also an opportunity to learn about NAMYO organization as among youth organizations that are participating in global affairs, but also cooperation. So, without any further ado, maybe if Emmanuel is back with us, I can proceed to that end.
Thank you very much, dear friends, dear colleagues. I hope my voice is clear and I'm audible. So once more, I greet you all in a very important day. And yesterday, we have celebrated International Day for the Peace. And during that important day, we have to acknowledge the role of the youth for combating the violence and achieving the international cooperation. Youth, as a more, I would say, the vulnerable part of the society, are always open to any kind of manipulation, damage, or misinformation. That's why it is very important for us to gather together today and increase the awareness about the role of the youth in combating such kind of issues. and how to mobilize use as an effective tool or weapon, I would say, as a main vital part of the society to achieve sustainable development goals. And at the end, which is our telos, the ultimate goal is cooperation through the peace. So non-aligned movement youth organization is operating actually for 2 years. It first started at 2021 as a youth network. And last summer in 2022 is the participation of the 64 youth leaders, including Tanzania, including Zimbabwe. Thank you. Including Zimbabwe, Tanzania, and many country representatives from the Africa in Baku, Azerbaijan, to launch the transform the network into the youth organization. I would first start as a general note on the importance of the non-aligned movement itself as the second largest international institution after the United Nations. Non-aligned movement has currently 120 member states. In January, in Uganda session, it will have 121st. South Sudan will join to the organization, and after that, all of the member states in African continent will be present there. That's why Africa as a whole, as a unit, as an entity is very vital. Thank you. And as a youth branch of this organization, we have a strategic aim goal to first of all consolidate, establish, and then consolidate the network among the youth. Non-aligned movement youth organization has branches and operates in Latin America and Caribbean, Africa, Asia, and Pacific. We are working through our local members, representatives. We call them national chapters. That mean the country representatives. For example, from the participant list, I see Mr. Abiel Mavare. He is currently running the national chapter of the Zimbabwe and acting as a national representative. The co-organizer of this event, there, Mr. Mansuza Kingo, is operating the Vijana think tank, and Vijana think tank is cooperating with NAMYO as a national youth organization representative, and many more. So first of all, our first aim is to find the strategic people like you and have their presence in international negotiations. As an organization, as a youth organization, NAMYO has very good connections and network in multilateral organizations. Our delegation has recently returned from the United Nations, New York, participating in special session of the SDG and 78th session of the UNGA. We are constantly declaring the statements to the United Nations Geneva office, the New York office. I myself have participated last year in the youth prevention of the substance use and drug prevention in United Nations Vienna. And it's a good platform, it's a vital platform to connect not only the African youth, but between the African youth and these other continents. For example, last week we had a very Thank you. So last week we had a very constructive cooperation with the participation of the Mansuza Kingo. So in that cooperation, it's just an example. For that event, we had a voice of the youth from the Asia, from the Pacific, from the Latin America, and essentially from the Africa. And since the topic of the today is cooperation and youth role for achieving the peace, we think that first of all, there should be an understanding of the youth values. And this only could be achieved with the hearing of the voice of the youth. For example, the youth from the Venezuela, I can assure you that have very limited knowledge or very limited information about the youth sector in Africa. And same applies to the Africa. And any youth member of the Africa has a very broad knowledge only about There, Mansuza, can you please mute your mic? Oh, thanks. So as a platform, it provides a cross-cultural exchange, and I truly believe that achieving the cooperation and achieving the peace is only possible, first of all, from understanding and highly valuing the diversity. Diversity in Africa, diversity in Latin America and other continents, diversity of the Tanzania. Through working with the national chapters, we saw that not every country is unique, but even in every country, they have different groups, different values, different use principles. So non-aligned movement youth organization is always working together with the national chapters in order to promote those values, to promote these views. And we truly believe that international cooperation can only achieved by the youth voice, because 5 years from now, 10 years from now, the youth will be the decision makers. And while they are making their decisions, while they're implementing the policies and strengthening their national security agenda, they should start this work from the very early age. Thank you very much. I give floor to the moderator, and are always ready to respond to your questions, and I'm very happy to hear your feedbacks. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Elna, for a very brief and well elaborated introduction about non-aligned movement and global cooperation, the role of youth, and also everything that you've shed light on. So now maybe we welcome Emmanuel. Emmanuel is facing some technical difficulties, but we have resolved it. So Emmanuel, you're welcome. Just brief, and then we'll continue with this planned session as Emmanuel, quickly. Also, please mute your mic if you're not talking. So, Emmanuel, are you here with us?
Emmanuel.
Hello, everyone.
So if
Hello.
If not, I think we can proceed with Morgan. Morgan.
I hope you hear me.
See.
Hello. Hi, Emmanuel.
Yes. Do you hear me?
Yes. Welcome. Yes, we do. Welcome.
Do you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Do you hear me?
We can hear you.
Am I audibly clear? Okay. Thank you, everyone. My name is Emmanuel Peter. Please, Kingu, if I'm not audibly clear, it seems like I'm having unstable network. Please tell me if I'm not clearly heard. Do you hear me?
We do hear you, Peter, whatever your name is.
All right, thank you. All right. I would like to speak on the topic, particularly what we are speaking of, the role of youth in fostering global cooperation. I hope you can hear me clearly. Mansunza, if it happens that you don't hear me, please give me a signal, and I would see how I can fix myself. Please tell me if I'm clearly, audibly clear.
Yes.
Mansuza, can you all hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. So I think we proceed the submission.
Okay, thank you. The role of youth, particularly with the global cooperation, and I would like to stretch out this particular topic in a manner that we cannot speak of global cooperation and particularly in these modern times as youth, without speaking of the global affairs. And these terminologies can be interchangeably used, like international cooperation or international affairs. It all means the same thing, but I want to begin this conversation particularly and talk about these quotes that I normally like from Albert Einstein. Says that those who have the privilege to know, they have a duty to act. And as of this session, if you have a privilege to know, we all have a duty to act. And just as Nnamdi Azikiwe, one of the great leaders of Nigeria and the African portrayed leaders, once said that, "Give me my youth back and I'll pay it at any price." And this is where, as a youth, we must understand our role and also portray the significant value that we play into this. And Nnamdi Azikiwe also stretches and says that youth have the youthfulness now, but it's not forever. We have to understand we're youthful and we should be useful right now, but it won't be forever. And I want to take you back to the lane of history and see how global cooperation, how it evolved to the current way. In a few minutes, I'll be highlighting some milestones and the road trip towards the current international or global cooperation that you see. But what is global cooperation and international or affairs, particularly, I would say? It is just the collaborative effort towards joining hands to those essential issues that pertains the affairs of each and every country state. Or we can say it is cooperative effort of entities, two or more, who are working towards a shared goal or a shared objective. That is what global cooperation means. So if we understand that we have to take joint hands and effort, then we have to understand what is global affairs. Global affairs, these are challenges that pertains or hinders issues that causing disruption of global cooperation. Without global affairs, it's a scientific study of how states collaborate towards a common goal. So it also is in an knowledge. So apparently, speaking of global affairs, and this all evolves at the international level, or should I say the international arena, whereby we have unanimous joint efforts of different country states. And there is a global setting whereby we see different individuals, particularly when we speak legal personnel in the international relation, meaning the country states, which are member states of different entities, but also we talk about individuals who have legitimacy of operating as, like entities. But I want us to stretch what is the lane of the global cooperation. I'll be taking it very quickly. From the early age of city-states back in the Athens and also the Spartans to the Roman Empire, towards the levels of whereby we see collaboration and evolvement to the evolution of the Industrial Revolution, whereby there was a huge global effort and global cooperation among member states, and the issues of trade and also issues of political alliance, military alliance, and sharing on different goals. That's where we can get it. But coming all this way, towards the First and Second World War, we saw there were some pacts and alliances whereby they collaborated among each others. and towards the formation of the League of Nations and its failure towards the formation of the United Nations. Yes? Kingu, are you speaking something? Okay, so I was saying that towards the formation of the United Nations back in 1945, all the way towards the Cold War, we see all those efforts of global cooperation and towards the formation of the non-alignment states, and seeing gladly enough, we have the non-alignment movement of the youth organization presently. Today, they will be enlightening us more in depth. So coming all the way to the incident that happened, the rise of terrorism and the emergence of climate change and bringing a concern to the world majority, whereby we talk about also environmental hazards, issues like famine, hunger, issues like terror, issues like war, issues of economic and crisis depression, issues of scarcity of resources. Those are the issues that pertains the global affairs, which brings the global cooperation generally. So if we don't have those things in hand, let's say, for example, when an issue of September 11 back in the US, I think there was 2001, when it happens, Osama bin Laden shut down and fired out those twin buildings in Washington. That happens that it brought a concern whereby they declared war on terror. So it caused people to come joined together against terrorism. That's where we saw issues of Al-Qaeda, issues of the terrorist groups generally who have been oppressing, like Boko Haram and many others who have been torturing and causing a lot of suicide bombing all over. And it brought effort towards collaboration towards that. Now, going forward, we see that the emergence of 2019 pandemic of COVID-19 also brought out the unanimous effort of collaboration among member states and individuals. We have seen a lot of millions of people died in the course of pandemic COVID-19. And also we have seen the high level of unanimous global cooperation towards tackling and ensuring that the pandemic is reduced. And gladly enough, with that kind of example and all that stress back, you see that global cooperation is an evident which works part and parcel with the global affairs. So there must be global affairs which pertains within the international relation so that we can have global cooperation. Now, briefly and quickly, where does the role of youth works in all of this? So we have seen generally a brief and quick insight and background. Now, the youth have been playing a pivot role, and also we can say the youth are the impetuous force and factor that portrays the current role of cooperation. So I would like to cite out and portray some of the issues that the youth have been engaged. Let's say, for instance, when you talk about climate action, the youth have been quite influencing and also portraying the effort towards climate advocacy and also climate, awareness. And the whole thing about, the global cooperation, it comes also with the lead of the United Nations, whereby we have the SDG, Sustainable Development Goals. When we look about Sustainable Development Goals, it fosters and encourages global cooperation. Like, these are the issues or the affairs that pertains us as the world. When we talk about all the SDGs having quality education, zero hunger, and all having sustainable peace and all that, it's all addressing the global affairs, calling out global cooperation among member states and all of that. So if we understand that, the youth have been playing a pivot role, ensuring also propelling the sounding of the SDGs around the world. For instance, I would like to cite out some of the few examples, like Greta Thunberg, the activist of Swedish, who is a prominent environmental activist. By now, I was checking, she's 20. She has been doing marvelous work influencing global leaders. Let's say a person like Malala in Pakistan, who has wrote a book helping young ladies and girls getting access to education in Pakistan. Those are the people who have been doing great things. But also if we see the UNFCCC playing with the role of youth platforms, whereby we see having platform like Younger, which is a platform where youth advocate, but also we have other platforms in the African continent, whereby we have issues platform, particularly like Pan-African Youth Union. We have SADC Youth Forums. We have the envoys that are representing the youth on behalf of the Secretary Generals, both in UN and AU. And we have to understand Africa is the second largest, fast growing youth continent. First one, that is the Asian continent. And we have about 2 billion youth who are young, under age 35 downwards to 15. If we understand all this, the role of the youth, it's dispensable to acknowledge that the youth are not playing. Now, I want to cite out some of the challenges that youth face towards ensuring we foster global cooperation. And I believe some of the people who are entity concerned with relevant authority can come up and try to revamp and ensuring that these challenges, one of them is lack of the unanimous interdisciplinary connection, working effort. A lot of youth, we have them at the international level working on their own, like individually or entities whereby we don't have that cooperation, but they are bringing effort and impact. But if there is a unanimous joint effort, there might be a huge impact towards sustainable resolution to a future that is desirable. And another one that is lack of youth to be empowered with proper skills and knowledge towards emphasizing and also advocating the resourceful issues that are pertaining the challenges in the global affairs. And lastly, lack of financial support, that we have a lot of ideas and youth entities individually, they have ideas, but they lack financial support. You may find an organization, youth-led, which is having a lot of drafts, a lot of good ideas, but they lack financial. So there is a lot of hindrances accessing from our national level all the way to the international level. So if we address all of this pertaining global cooperation, then we are clear to say that the fostering of global cooperation of the youth, it's something that is assured. Lastly, I would like to finish that. Youth should be on the front line of everything. In every place that you find youth, we have energy, we have intellectual capacity, we have curiosity, we have sagacious mentality of wisdom, we have all the knowledge, and we are the next thing big if we are invested into. And I would like to invest that we should invest. Any country that does not invest in the youth, as Namnit said, that the youth are the most resourceful people in the world. And he said that if you give me back my youth, I'll pay it at any price. Thank you very much. And it's been an enlightenment for this conversation. I look forward to learning more. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Emmanuel. One thing that I grabbed is we are useful now, but not forever. So as you, for the opportunity that you got right now, use it right now, because we don't know what's going to happen next. As it says, we're useful now and not forever.
Okay, thank you very much, Emmanuel, for a great submission. So before proceeding, I would like to acknowledge the presence of Dr. Eliakim Mutawa from the Prime Minister's Office, Labor, Youth, Employment and Persons with Disability, who is also the Assistant Director at the Ministry, the Assistant Director responsible for Youth Coordination and Empowerment. I also would like to acknowledge the presence of Mr. Godfrey Masawe, who is also from the Prime Minister's office, responsible with youth. They are all here. Perhaps it's good to hear from them also, as just a brief introduction about themselves. Dr. Kim Tawa, you're welcome. Then we'll follow with Mr. Godfrey Masawe. Thank you very much.
Asante sana. And I think I've already been introduced. So as I was introduced before, my name is Eliakim Mtawa from the Prime Minister's Office, Labor, Youth, Employment, and the People with Disabilities. And with me, as my colleague, who will also introduce himself. So I'm with you, and yeah, let's continue, and we'll come back later as we're getting along. Asante.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Doctor. So, Mr. Godfrey, you're welcome. Mr. Godfrey Masawe.
Yes, Mr. Akingo, thank you for inviting us to participate in this important meeting. Actually, as Mr. Eliakim Tawa, Assistant Director for Youth Development, has alluded to, we are actually delighted to be part of this important meeting. And we believe it's going to be an insightful to understand what Vijana think tank with other organizations that you are working with, that you are intending or rather planning to collaborate with the government to ensure we are working together in promoting and safeguarding the welfare and the rights of young people in the country. So I was just following up on the insightful presentation that was made previously, and we believe we are going to get out of it, and perhaps we might have something to add on what has been presented by the previous presenter. We also apologize for joining late. We had another meeting that we are actually supposed to attend, but we are together. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Godfrey Masawe, and also Assistant Director Eliakim Mtawa. We are very grateful as young people because we know you have a lot of your schedule, but you made time to be part of this discussion with young people from not only from Tanzania, but from all over the world. And entirely, we are grateful and thankful very much for the ministry. So maybe as we proceed now, we invite NAMYO to give us a bit of introduction about non-aligned youth organization, and yes, we could hear from them.
Thank you so much. I thank you so much for the opportunity again. I mean, Elnura already talked before and spoke about the importance that we put into the youth and their activities with it comes to cooperation, when it comes to peace. And it's something that we highlight a lot as NAM Youth Organization. So I would like to begin by just saying what is NAM. Noor already mentioned this before, but NAM is one of the biggest international organizations after the United Nations. So it consists of 120 member states from all parts of the globe. We have a huge community in Africa. It is actually one of our biggest community in NAM Youth Organization. We are proud to have held so many different events with them, such as the African Day that we held at a university here in Baku, at Edia University, where people came and shared their cultures. We had cultural displays, we had presentations, and it was a very great event where people from different cultures came together to explore, you know, like Elnur said, to understand each other's cultures, each other's challenges. It's the main part that will lead to peace eventually, because only through understanding will we be able to develop this idea, this ideal world. Again, this was formed during the Cold War, the movement, the non-aligned movement, but it was a movement in cooperation, right? It was not something against NATO. It was not something against this organization. It was more of aim for global cooperation. We want the world to unite, to work together, and we based our entire principles on the Bandung Conference from 1955. The respect for principles of that were enshrined in the character of in the Charter of the United Nations, the respect for sovereignty, peaceful settlement of international conflicts, respect for political, economic, social, and cultural diversity, as well as the respect for the inherent right of individual or collective self-defense, defense and promotion of shared interests, non-interference in internal affairs of states, promotion and defense of multilateralism, which is also very important, and multilateral organizations. The organization in itself was established after the Shusha Accords. We first started as the establishment of a youth network, NAM Youth Network. However, later on, during the Shusha Accords, we were established as the organization through the initiative of the chairmanship of Azerbaijan of the non-aligned movement. We recently opened our headquarters here in Baku. Elnur and I were currently set headquarters, and we hope to one day be able to invite all of you to these headquarters. This organization is expected to represent the interest of NAM youth in different international fora. This can come in close cooperated institutions. We want to raise the NAM is carrying in light of the growing challenges that we have with peace and security. So we want to highlight their concerns. We want to highlight the activities that they can do to prevent and to develop with peace further throughout peace entire time. We obviously have already several national chapters, which we've had several events with. Like I said, a lot of our national chapters are in Africa. We have national chapters in Zimbabwe, we have in Malawi, Uganda, we have in different places, and we have had several events with them. Recently, we had one again with an event with these national chapters. Elnur mentioned it before as well. And we've had national model simulations. We had one in Latin America, info sessions, Bali, in other, spread the word about NAMYO, mention a lot about the issues that we have, highlight the importance of the youth in dealing with peace, in fostering understanding and multiculturalism, multilateralism. It's very important for us. We also have held meetings with people such as the Director General of the United Nations at Geneva. We held the NAM Youth Summit. We hold these activities to bring together the youth all around these national chapters and to unite them so that eventually, as we go on with time, we can just have this connection and cooperations between each of these nations. So we reach the final aim, which follows the charters of the UN and aim for the final peace that we wish to achieve. So that would be almost everything that I would like to say about NAM Youth Organization. I will be more than happy to answer any questions as well as anything else that you guys might want to hear in comments. More than happy to hear them. Again, thank you so much for the opportunity. And Noor and I were both very happy to be here representing NAM Youth Organization. And well, again, I give back the floor to you, esteemed dear Manzusa. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rexa. Before we allow Mr. Honorable Abel Marewe, who is also National Chapter of Zimbabwe, I think let's welcome Mr. Igor Shashenko, who is CEO of the Africa Russia Youth
Yes, dear colleagues, thank you. Thank you.
For some time to.
Can you hear me?
You're welcome, Igor.
Yes, dear colleagues, can you hear me? Okay, thank you
Yes.
for giving me the floor.
Yes.
And thank you. And this opportunity to speak. I think that we.
There we cannot hear you. Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay. I think that we already have a tight schedule, and that's why I don't see any reason to speculate on common political topics. It's not my cup of tea today. Thus, let me just briefly inform you about my project, Forum Russia Africa What's Next. So our forum is well-established organization, and we are functioning since 2019. Our main goal is to create a kind of Russia-Africa youth community, and we're trying also to implement any joint initiative concerning our youth cooperation between Russia and Africa. This year we visited two African continent 2 times. We visited Ethiopia and Tanzania, and during this our business trip, we had enormous meetings with representatives of governmental structures, of some, I think, youth organization. And thus we signed a kind of agreement with youth organizations and established Russia-Africa Youth Leadership Council, which already accumulated together more than 150 persons. Also, I am representing here GIMO University, and we are working with representatives of many African universities. This year, we signed 2 agreements of understanding and cooperation with Addis Ababa University, the main university of Ethiopia, and Dar es Salaam University. Right now, 5 our students from GIMO is staying in Tanzania, implementing student mobility program. Also, the number of students from African continent in our university tripled this year. And nowadays we have more than 20 students from many countries such as Ethiopia, Senegal, Madagascar, Republic of South Africa, Gambia, etc. More than 50% of population of Africa is represented by youth, as we have already mentioned previously. And we also have a huge number of youth initiatives in our country, in Russia, concerning Africa, and we need to conduct it jointly. For example, we are trying to provide all our African students in Russia with working places in multinational companies which are working on the continent. And we need to stay together with African students. We need to support them. And in this sphere, our governmental structures are trying to assist us. The chief of our forum, Russia Africa What's Next, is His Excellency Evgeny Primakov, head of Federal Agency Россотрудничества. Also, our forum always attracts attention of all African embassies represented in Moscow in order to help African students to solve their urgent issues and maybe problems. Coming to the point, I need to emphasize also that we organize on a constant basis trips of our students to African countries, and vice versa. We also invite and facilitate visits of African youth representatives to Russia. We received more than 50 students and representatives of African non-governmental organizations within the walls of our university previous year. Also, Kemi Seba delivered speech from our scene 5 times already. This year on sidelines of second summit Russia-Africa, we signed an agreement of understanding with his organizations. So we have a huge amount of projects to implement together. Thank you again for giving me the floor, and I hope that we can work together with your organizations. You can also become a part of our Young Leaders Association. I will send my contact information here in chat. So thank you for having me. It was a pleasure to stay with you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Igor, for such a nice presentation and for the highlighting some of the opportunities that that are available by NAMYO University. Maybe for those who don't know about NAMYO University, NAMYO University is the Moscow State University of International Relations or Affairs. So we met with Ndimo when he was in Tanzania, as they spoke, and they were here about fostering cooperation between the University of Dar es Salaam, but also with the Moscow State University of International Affairs. So this is was expanded opportunities as young people now, after connecting now, we are engaging together to see how we can foster global cooperation between our youth organization, but also through our countries in particular. So maybe without any further ado, maybe just to welcome Eleanor, to welcome Mr. Honorable ABL Marere, who's National Youth Representative of NAM for Zimbabwe. You're welcome.
Thank you very much, my dear leader, and it's always a privilege and an honor to speak to young people who are in leadership, in youth leadership, and who are geared towards the emancipation and economic development of our beloved continent, Africa, and obviously as the world at large. I just want to say a few words of solidarity to what has been birthed in Tanzania. I want to say that last year in Baku, we established a historic organization which transformed from a network. As you know, that there's the heads of state level where the NAM heads of states meet and deliberate and make decisions. And it was an honor to be part of that great event, like what Mr. Eona highlighted earlier, that this event happened in Baku, which is housing the secretariat of NAMYO. So we saw a lot of enthusiasm and a lot of energy from young people from across the continent and across the world who came together to agree that there needs to be a transformation of NAMYO's network into an organization. And this was a great initiative that I think that we as young people of our generation, we need to come together. And I think if you are very much aware of the founding Bantu principles of this NAM organization, you realize that one of the major issues that we talk of in the principles is obviously resolution of conflict without any force. So that means that as young people, we play a critical role in peace and security agenda all over the world. And my encouragement is, as Tanzania, let's join hands together. Let's make this a reality. Let's make NAMYO a reality. It is not the leaders that make this a reality, but it is actually our enthusiasm and our energy that put together the work that we need to be done. So yeah, those are just my few words. And I would like to also extend once again our availability of collaboration, our availability of engagement at all levels to make this a success. But thank you so much for organizing this, and I want to congratulate you, Tim. And yes, Those are my few words. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Adrian Malere. So maybe with that, maybe Eleanor, do you have anything to add about NAMYO before we go back to we welcome the Prime Minister's office? Eleanor, you are welcome to add anything.
Thank you very much, dear Mansuza. So we can actually proceed. We already expressed the details about the organization. I will kindly ask my colleague to share the useful links in the message box so that our participants can also see the social media accounts and our email for any kind of inquiry. At the end of the day, we think that having this collaboration is key for the achieving the cooperation. Thank you very much. I'm looking forward to hear the Prime Minister's office remarks. Thank you.
Hey, thank you very much, Eleanor. So now we are welcoming our colleagues from the Prime Minister's office, Mr. Godfrey Masai, together with Mr. Godfrey Chacha. You're welcome to highlight more about the ministry's work in furthering youth development in our country, enlightening maybe about national youth policy and priorities. Finally, what are the procedures for young people here? We see a lot of opportunities that are available. We see a lot of opportunities that are available in the international space. So maybe this is also an opportunity that the ministry can inform. What are the procedures or when a young person in this international?
Hello. Hello. Can you? Hello.
Yes.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hello, we can hear you, sir.
Yes, my name is Godfrey Chacha. I'm working with the Prime Minister's office, the Department of Youth Development. Yeah, I would like to thank the organizer for organizing this meeting, trying to share on how NAMYO is working and the organization. Also, we thank you for this endeavor. Because what we are trying to foster is youth development, empowering youth to be leaders of today and tomorrow. So young people need to be empowered so that they can participate in socio-economic development. So as the Prime Minister's office mandated with the youth development issues in the country, yeah, we are formulating policies, guidelines, which are implemented by various organizations or partners, international organization and local, to make sure that young youth agenda is promoted within the country, but in relation with the cooperation from other countries within our integration, regional or international integration. So this is a good platform where young people can meet, particularly the members of non-aligned movement. So it's a good idea, and also it's a good platform. Even our young people from Tanzania to join so that they can share experience, learn from each other for the better of their affairs. Yeah, so maybe I would like you to know or to share experience from member states who have already joined the NAMYO. How is it the various organization, youth organization within the country can join to be members, or the country can nominate one organization which can be represent youth organization within the country? So that is my question, so that we can proceed. Because as I have gone through the statute, I have come to see an item needing the government to recommend an organization to be a member of NAMYO. So please, for that information, will you help us understand better on how to our young people organization can join? Is it one or they can be more than one? Please, I would like to know that. Thank you very much.
Dear Mansuza, can I proceed?
Yes, you're welcome.
Thank you very much for the question. Indeed, it was a very timely question, which needs to be addressed. So let me bring some historical examples first on how our national chapters, aka the local representatives, has been established. So last summer, 2022, we had a NAMYO summit. Non-aligned movement, the coordinating bro in the United Nations New York office, run by the delegation of Azerbaijan, who was the chairman of the organization, has issued the statement and sent the letters for the permanent representatives of the 129 member states in the United Nations to nominate their youth leader, either from the Youth Council, from Youth Ministry, or any other youth organization in any NGO that they prefer to represent their youth. Some of the countries have sent their CEO or a leader of their youth council. Some of them sent their representative from the Ministry of Youth Affairs, and some just sent their active NGO or active ambassador, youth ambassadors. For the case of the Tanzania, by the way, Tanzania was also participating in that summit. It was a representative of the Minister of Foreign Affairs. He was the delegation of the Tanzania led by the diplomat who was assigned in United Nations Geneva office, the second secretary. But after that, after the summit, after the creation of those organization, once more, the non-aligned movement coordinating bureau in United Nations New York issued the letter for the member states to nominate their leader for the creation of the national chapter. So national chapter is not a person. National chapter is a team. National chapters consist of two parts: national representative, one person, and national youth organization representative. For some countries, we have only one national representative, and he or she is forming their team. For example, in Malawi, the national representative is the responsible person from the Ministry of Youth and Sport. She has a team over there. Or, for example, in other countries, for the case of the, for example, in Egypt, we have a national representative who is from the Ministry of Youth, and also we have by the nomination of their countries, we are working with their NGOs. Same applies to the Morocco from Africa. But there are also some countries does not respond or does not nominate their own youth. In that case, we are using our own connections to reach to the countries, which was in case of the Tanzania. In Tanzania, we have established the national chapters after the meeting in the United Nations with the youth leader, Jessica Mishama. She was the national representative. And at the same time, we have reached to the Vijana think tank, considering their connection and network with the government, and proposed them to become the National Youth Organization representative. But here, we need to acknowledge the diversity of the bureaucracy in some countries. In some countries, the national legislation suggests that they have to approve and they have to nominate their own representative for the non-aligned movement youth organization, and we also always consider that and welcome that. For example, whenever we don't get the response from the United Nations permanent representative of the specific country, in that case, we are working directly with the youth community themselves and finding the possible connection. But in case if the government through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs appoints their own representative, then we are constantly working them and acknowledging them as a national chapter representative in the given country. I hope my question addressed your inquiry, and if there is a need for more further clarification, we are ready for that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your clarification. I think it is clearly understood. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so maybe just to elaborate further, it's just in Tanzania, for that case, we have a national youth representative that was nominated, Ms. Jessica Mshama. But maybe, yeah, the issue was just making it known to the Prime Minister's office. But in that regard, also, we as Vijana Think Tank have been approached as a national youth organization. So we are just hosting maybe the NAMYO chapter here in Tanzania, but if the ministry also endorses it officially under your office. So that's it maybe. But maybe to just welcome Mr. Godfrey Masawe also from the ministry, if you have anything, Mr. also Dr. LYED Tawa, if you have anything, or Mr. Chacha also, if you have anything further, you're welcome.
Well, thank you, Mr. Kingu. I think Mr. Godfrey Chacha has put it clearly. So we also appreciate for the emphasis that was being made by Mr. Elnur with regard to how the government was part of this initiative. So to hear that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs has also been part of this initiative since its inception, for us, it gives us a relief that there's a pathway and a way that we need to actually collaborate with your respective or rather esteemed organization on this endeavor. So we appreciate on that. And actually we need to get to hear more from this initiative and on how it will actually benefit the youth of the United Republic of Tanzania. My question is that this initiative also take on board issues related for youth in Zanzibar, because we are talking of the United Republic of Tanzania. So all of youth in mainland and Zanzibar are also required to be part of this initiative. So I'm just asking if the Zanzibar part has also been included, or rather are also aware of this initiative. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Godfrey Masawe. The short answer to your question is yes. And the long answer is that since the aim of the non-aligned movement youth organization is not only to engage with the youth leadership of the Africa, not only with the youth leadership of the Africa, but directly with the communities as well. So on the one hand, we are having the top-down approach with directly engaging with the largest NGOs, non-governmental organizations, national youth councils, ministries of foreign affairs, ministries of youth affairs, but at the same time, we are aiming to engage with the community level youth as well. For example, we are on the one hand working with the Pan-African Youth Union, cooperating with them to reach the Africa Youth Councils. And on the other hand, we are closely working with our national chapters. So since they are the first direct and contact persons that can affect the audience, that can benefit the audience, For example, I could give you the information. One of the main work that NAMYO is currently working is to raise the awareness about the current special scholarship by the Azerbaijani government, who is currently the chairman of the NAM organization. This scholarship covers the bachelor, master, and the PhD degrees fully funded for every NAM member states, for the use from every NAM member states. So each year there will be 25 slots will be made available for the NAM use to apply. So I'm gonna share the information with Masuz and Vijana Singh so that they can also raise the awareness about that once it's available. So, for example, under normal circumstances, without our partnership with the Vijana Singh Tank and other youth entities across Africa, the local youth would not have any idea or would not have information about the ongoing opportunity there. But now, after the work, after the connection, after this network, they can take their own benefit out of it. That was only one example. Another example could be the explaining the use, giving them education through the webinars, through the hybrid events, through the conferences like this on their awareness on the use engagement with the global processes. Because usually we think that youth are sometimes getting alienated from the processes without their own knowledge that they are also as a responsible citizens. They should also act as a civic citizens, not only in their own country, but also as a representing their community as well. So these kind of things are discussed and these kind of things are addressed through the cooperation with the national chapters. When it comes, I also see some messages here in the chat. Do we have an office in Kenya? We are closely cooperating with the Youth Council of the Kenya, but we haven't established any office for that yet.
Very much, Eleanor, for nice collaboration. Maybe, maybe just to hint, maybe you could explain us more further on maybe what I remember last time you informed us that you have several ministerial meetings, like the Minister of Youth meetings. Last year, I also saw the Prime Minister of Tanzania participating in Azerbaijan, one among the meetings. So, how is this meeting, and also how does NAM work closely with ministries of youth, because these are our stakeholders and these are our, they are the ones who work closely with youth inside our country, despite youth organization, of course, but I think also there's that importance of how are you working closely with ministries.
Sure. So I will give example from myself. For 3 years, I was closely working with the chairmanship of the non-aligned movement with the government of the Azerbaijan. So every year, the chairmanship of the every non-aligned movement country is operating one state leaders level summit and one ministerial level summit in physical format. And also they are all constantly networking among the various ministries across the non-member states, make it Minister of Education, make it Minister of Transport, Ministries of Energy. So I was personally involved with the NAMYO Secretariat on 2 important meetings. One was a summit for the state leaders, where the high representatives, either the government, head of the government, like Prime Minister, or the presidential level status, has participated in the summit in Azerbaijan and delivered their speech on behalf of their country. Or that happened in March 2023. And on July 5, we had foreign ministers meeting in NAM. And by the way, the headquarters of the Non-Aligned Movement Youth Organization has been inaugurated with the participation of the foreign ministers of Uganda, the next chairman, and Venezuela, the previous chairman. In that perspective, we always have the constant support from the foreign ministers of the NAM countries. Actually, NAMYO itself has been created with the support of the 2019 Heads of State Summit in NAM in Baku, Azerbaijan. So NAMYO is not a political entity, it's not a political branch of the NAM. It's an independent entity focused on the youth affairs, but it's specifically in the start, it has been supported and it has been welcomed by the heads of the states. So yes, other than that, as I have mentioned, through our connections with the United Nations, whenever we don't have the national representative in any given specific countries, we are operating our procedures through the permanent mission. Also, I will say the presence and participation of the African leaders, like the ministries of foreign affairs, prime ministers, or presidents in summits in Azerbaijan also gives us a good opportunity for the network, for making the network with them and hear their thoughts. And we're going to continue this kind of activities for the future. For example, in January, there is going to be the Heads of State Leader Summit in Uganda for opening of the for the inauguration of the Uganda's taking the chairmanship of the non-aligned movement. Non-aligned movement youth organization is planning to participate there and operate a side event there. We are also working to make the feasibility studies if we can also invite and involve our national chapter representatives there, which is more likely to happen. And in this conjuncture, in this platform, and under these circumstances, we are going to continue our work with increasing efforts. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Maybe as the next step, I don't know. Before the next now chairmanship of Uganda in our ministry, youth organization, things on the ground here. I think that also can be a nice trip. While you're planning for Uganda, you could also plan for Tanzania visit. Yes. So, any other questions? Mr. Godfrey, Mr. Masai, Dr. Eliakim Tawa, if he is available. Is there any other questions from the ministry side? If not, then we can proceed with the other panel. Carry me on.
I'd like to welcome Ms. Moza to speak to us about global cooperation in youth. So let's welcome you.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I hope you all can hear me clearly. Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. So in today's rapidly changing world, the youth are emerging as powerful agents of change. Young people possess passion, creativity, and determination to drive global cooperation to new heights. As the future leaders of the country, they also have a responsibility to contribute to making society better for everyone, and they have to have a voice to play a positive role in shaping the future. So I'm going to talk about how the youth can actively engage in global affairs and cooperation. For instance, they can take part in youth-led organizations. They can establish or participate in a youth-led organization which are focused on global issues like climate change or poverty alleviation. So these groups, they provide a platform for organizing projects, events, and advocacy campaigns, allowing the youth to take a leadership role in addressing global challenges. Also, youth, they have familiarity with technology, which positions them as agents in international collaborations. The youth can utilize digital tools and platforms to work together effectively, despite geographical distances, and can collaborate with youth from different countries on projects that address common global challenges. engage in youth-led advocacy and activism efforts through just social media. And they can also advocate for policy reforms or youth-friendly policies at local, national, and international levels, as well as ensuring that the perspectives and needs of young people are considered in decision-making processes, promoting inclusive global governance. The youth can also organize educational workshops or seminars to inform peers and communities about global challenges. These initiatives promote awareness, understanding, and informed action on international issues. Another way which the youth can actively take part in global affairs is by taking part in Model United Nations conferences. This is where the participants simulate diplomatic negotiations and discussions. MUN events provide first-hand experience in international diplomacy and problem solving. It prepares youth for global cooperation. And in Tanzania, I've seen that we have the Tanzanian International Model United Nations, which happens, I think, at least once a year. Or they can also take part in international conferences and summits. They provide networking opportunities, a platform to share ideas, and exposure to global perspectives. They can also initiate or support sustainability projects in their communities or globally. These projects can address issues like renewable energy, waste reduction, conservation, and sustainable agriculture, contributing to a more sustainable world. They can also take part in United Nations youth programs. They can explore and participate in youth-oriented programs and initiatives run by the United Nations, such as the United Nations Youth Delegate Program. These programs, they offer opportunities to engage in global cooperation efforts and advocate for youth perspectives. They can also do research, academic research on global topics, and they can share their findings through conferences or online platforms. Research contributes valuable insights to global discussions and policy making. Now, having all this said, however, there are still some challenges which the youth can face while trying to take part in global affairs and cooperation, some which may include having limited resources. Many young people may face financial constraints that limit their ability to travel or attend these international conferences or fund for global projects. And I think they can overcome this by seeking out scholarships, grants, and funding opportunities specifically designed for youth engagement in global affairs. There are so many organizations, including governments and nonprofits, which offer financial support to young people passionate about international issues. Example, the United Nations Youth Delegate Program. Another challenge is lack of experience. The youth may lack experience in diplomacy or international relations or project management, which can hinder their effectiveness in global cooperation efforts. They can overcome this challenge by finding a mentor who has experience in this area of interest. They can offer guidance, share insights, and help to navigate the complexities of global cooperation. However, they can also take part in online courses and workshops focused on international relations, diplomacy, or project management. These educational opportunities can enhance your expertise. Another challenge is lack of recognition. Young people may face skepticism or a lack of recognition from old generations or institutions, which can limit their influence and opportunities in global affairs. They can overcome this challenge by collaborating with established organizations or NGOs in this field. And they can also, like through social media, blogs, and other communication channels, which they can share their experiences and insights. Building an online presence can help you gain recognition within your field. Thank you so much for this opportunity, and thank you all for your insight. I'd like to thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Moza, for elaborating and going to ask the opportunities that you actually engage in global cooperation. So we'd like to welcome Mr. Raphael Dennis to explain more, to give his perspective on how also youth can actually be engaged in global cooperation, but also the challenges that they face as youth. So, Mr. Raphael Dennis, welcome.
Well, thank you so much. First of all, thank you so much for all the speakers and thank you for organizers. It's a good opportunity to connect with young people from different parts of the world, but also connect with decision makers. So thank you so much for making it happen. As I have introduced myself earlier, my name is Raphael Dennis. I am a youth sounding board member for the European Union. So the European Union is the largest humanitarian aid provider in Tanzania and also so it's also leading in some of the ways that they engage young people globally. And I would like to share this example so that we can get some inspiration from what different international integrations are trying to put young people part and parcel of what they're doing. So the European Union last year launched the EU Youth Action Plan, which has 3 key priority areas in engaging young people, empowering them and connecting them to opportunities, but also to institutionalize the ways that they engage with young people. They have set up the youth sounding board at the global level and also at each of their delegations across the countries. So these youth sounding boards are actually platforms to meaningfully engage young people to make sure that European Union external action is more participatory and meaningful to young people. So, and also for this discussion, I think it comes at a very great time because we live in an era of globalization. And also, so it's important for young people to be able to harness opportunities that come with these exchange programs that are happening. So going directly to different ways young people can engage in these global affairs and cooperation. So many great examples have been shared by the previous speaker, but I would like to emphasize on a few steps. First of all, connect with your community. To be able to meaningfully engage on these global platforms, it's important to, first of all, have really connection with your community, know what are some of the things that you're really passionate about. Is it education? Is it health issues? Is it climate issues? And mostly you will have been impacted, whether yourself or people around you, by these things before. So instead of just blaming or saying why this problem is happening, that's actually an opportunity for you as a young person. There's a speaker who spoke earlier said that young people are resourceful, very energetic and creative. So that's actually an opportunity as a young person to say, this is something that I want to speak up about, use my energy to bring about the change, because that's the way that you can be part of the global affairs and cooperation. So the second thing is on education and skilling, because it's actually very important to have knowledge and information about what is happening in the global affairs. So taking advantage of courses like development studies, international relations, social work, some in any other areas of interest. For example, if it's health issues, you could expose doing something around public health, or yeah, I think continuously now and every now and then we see many more causes are being developed to ensure that young people can easily connect to their communities and contribute to the global affairs. So it's really a good opportunity to take part of those to increase your knowledge and skills. But also when I speak about skills, it's also about the language proficiency and digital literacy. We come to from like, for example, in Tanzania, you're not coming from a country. I mean, this is a country that English is not a first language. So if we can continue working on improving our language proficiency, that also gives you credit and a step closer in participating in the global affairs and cooperation, but also digital literacy. Most of the engagements in the global affairs, like for example, how we are connecting now with colleagues from different parts of the world, really requires some digital literacy. So it's good that we are able to, but then that's something that needs to be assured for the rest of young people, no matter where they're coming from. So the other thing, which have also been mentioned, I won't speak much about it, being part of the youth organizations and movements, that's actually an opportunity for you to connect with your peers, build your skills as well, but also using your own platforms to speak out on issues that matter to you. Then there's also one thing that I'd like to really stress is on continuous learning. So to be able to meaningfully engage on these platforms is actually important to stay updated on global issues. So it's really important to continuously look for this information, so what is happening, especially if you've already figured your niche. Like, for example, for myself, I'm really passionate about education, so building and creating safe and inclusive spaces in schools with students and teachers. So I'm constantly looking for policies, information on how we can do that, how other people are doing, because also global cooperation is an opportunity to learn best practices from what other people are doing and how we can do better in our countries. So continuous learning. So going to the challenges while engaging in global affairs, actually before engaging to global affairs, let's face it, actually many young people are not able to engage. So before engaging, there are some of the challenges that are actually stopping young people from engaging in global affairs. And I'm glad that we have on the call some of the powerful decision makers who can actually support us in some ways in addressing some of these challenges. First of all is limited access to information. So not so many young people in the country know about these existing and wonderful interventions, NAM, Vijana Youth Tank. Not so many young people know about them. So it's actually a call to action to really make sure that young people can progressively have access, but also it's a call to young people to continuously seek information, because this information is actually available if we do our research a bit. So that's actually an issue. But also something that is also tied to limited access to information is digital access. So most of this information, maybe they are put on the internet, but not all young people. And when I speak about young people, for example, in Tanzania, huge proportion of young people are coming from rural areas. And when we speak about youth representations, we want it to be as diverse as possible. We don't want to only have young people from Dar es Salaam. Young people can only speak maybe good English, or we want to have meaningful and very diverse engagement of young people. So really looking at how we can reach to the very last young people from very remote areas as well. Issues like economic barriers have been mentioned, limited networking opportunities, and also scaling and language barriers as well, I've also mentioned already. But when it comes to actually participating on the global affairs and cooperation issues, some of the things that I see as challenges is also the political structures that foster that youth engagement in our own countries. From what I'm glad that increasingly we're seeing the coming together of young people and decision makers, but we want it to be more meaningful so that we can continuously engage in decision making, continuously advise on how policies that affect young people are designed and implemented. Yeah, so I think there's been a continuous call on setting up the National Youth Council that could be an infrastructure that we could use to meaningfully engage young people, but also things like lack of resources while engaging, because this engagement at the global institutions, global affairs, and cooperation will require sometimes your resources. So if you're not able to have enough capital, so you'll not be able to really meaningfully engage. So this is a call to action to make sure that we're creating many employment opportunities, entrepreneurship opportunities, so that we can build the capital. So a young person won't see an issue to participating maybe or volunteer in some of the community activities, because they are really always busy seeking for ways they could get money. Yeah, so really ensuring that we're building employment opportunities and capital flow among young people, that will really help also in seeing increasing investment or increasing engagement of young people in the global platforms. So other things that could also be done, I will also suggest things like cultural exchange programs. This could also be done via education institutions, but also through youth initiative that, for example, we've had some of the good examples from NAM and Vijana Youth Tank. So having more of those cultural exchange programs so that we can connect with our peers. And actually what I've noticed from my engagement is, no matter where we come from, most of the things that affect young people are quite common. So having an opportunity to connect with your peers from different countries actually gets you to understand some of different ways that they approach those things. It also gives you some energy knowing that you're not alone, you're not facing it alone. So it's really good to really connect with each other from different parts of the world. So having more of those opportunities. Yes, and of course, I would also like to stress on something that was also mentioned, something around intergenerational mentorship and programs. So we have some of really senior people in the country who have served in the senior position in the global arena. So we like to have like some continuous ways that young people can learn from these people, these experienced professionals, so that they can also build their skills, which is quite important. And also last thing that I also like to really emphasize is on digital connectivity, ensuring that we're improving access to internet and digital resources to all young people, so that we can increasingly see young people from different parts of the country are participating on the global affairs issues in the youth organizations, but also improving the quality of our education so that it can prepare us to be critical thinkers, prepare us to really have meaningful engagement when we have opportunities to participate in the global arenas. So thank you so much. I'd love to return to you, but thank you so much for setting this space for us to speak up, and I'm really looking forward to continuing engaging with young people and particularly Vijana Youth Tank and NAM in fostering youth engagement in the global affairs. Thank you so much.
Wow, thank you very much, Raphael. I think that's why you're representing us at the European Union. Well-made submission, very eloquent speaking, and yeah, we noted some of the points that are really strong, and we're looking forward to implement all of what has been discussed. So maybe I welcome my colleague.
Thank you to all the speakers that spoke. So right now, welcome question and answer from our participants. So if you have any question, you could just raise your hand, or you can put your mic on. Thank you. Question and answer. And let's be brief, please, so we can save time. Welcome. Or if you cannot speak, you can just write in the chat your question, and we'll help you read it.
Maybe we can welcome Mohammed Sabit. You have a question? Yeah, you're welcome. Mohammed Sabit. Mohammed, we see you. Yes, you're welcome.
I want to ask my question is that how the whole program, how does it reach those youth from the streets and from rural, those deep rural? How do you plan on reaching them? Because when we say about the youth, we do not just look on those who are only in urban areas, but we should focus also our brothers and sisters who are in rural areas, because they need this much more than we need us who are in urban areas. So how do you plan on reaching them, and what strategy do you use on helping, maybe just like insisting them to know the importance of these issues? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mohammed Sabit, for I think that's a very nice question and very important one also. So maybe before I welcome the panelists to answer this question, maybe I will proceed to answer it. First, how do we plan to reach the wider youth population, meaning the youth that are also at rural areas and not existing in this urban context that we are? So how do we plan to reach this? It's mainly through me and yourself. You know, that's why at first we organized this info session and we welcomed young people, and it was an open space that it was given, so anyone was free to join here. So, but of course, not all young people can join. As you can see, we are just 30 of us here, but through us, our fellow young people who are not here, who are not able to be here, they can be able to learn a thing or two. So what I would encourage is that everything that we have discussed here, let it not just end here, but let us continuously engage fellow young people that are not able or who are interested. You can just share news like, hey, yeah, I see that you're interested maybe in leadership or international affairs. We have had things about some, they're saying that they have scholarship opportunities. So we have also our friends of colleagues that they're also seeking for scholarships. We can tell all these good news that have been discussed here to our fellow young people. So one is through me and you. The second would be through the ministry, and that's why we have invited them here so that they could all note what has happened here and also understand what young people want in terms of global cooperation and also youth development. So maybe through the Ministry of Youth, that's also another area of reaching the wider youth population. Through them, because they have presence all over the country, and through them also sharing this good news and these activities, and also working with the ministry together can facilitate or help us reach the wider youth population. So maybe if my colleague have any other we can add, but for me, my points are those.
So how can we reach the people in rural areas? There's also, as my partner said here, there are different dialogues such as this, but also there are through maybe social media accounts where different campaigns and advocacy can be made and people can see what is happening in our country. So me, I would suggest issues of social media, but also collaboration and participation in physical meetings, like me and you explaining or elaborating to them more about this particular information that we're having. Thank you.
So anyone who also from our panelists, if you have anything to add, or the ministry, you're welcome. Yes.
Yeah, thank you so much. Just a small addition. I know previous responses have really stressed on how young people can actually themselves try to get there. But I also like to push it back to ourselves. We young people who have got an opportunity to be in the platforms, or whether you're leading a youth organization or what, or if you are institution or a government institution as well, wherever you're setting up infrastructures for engaging young people, making sure that they are quite inclusive, having a representation of young people from all corners. So whenever you have the opportunity to do so, but if you are also a young person representing the views of young people from your country or from your community, it's always great to seek to hear from those underrepresented young people as well. And also, I think when we spoke about digital connectivity, once we really get there, I think the information access will flow. All young people will be able to access these opportunities, and we'll see increased engagement of young people from the global south into the global platforms. Thank you.
From Emmanuel, I also see right raise hand. Thank you very much, Rafael. Emmanuel, you're welcome.
Thank you very much, Kingu. I hope you can hear me very well.
Yes, we can.
Thank you. I believe this is a very sensitive question which requires scrutinize actions and actually frameworks that should enable not just articulation of talk and words, but frameworks of action plan. And it's a very sensitive question to reach out the rural area or the street kids, who some of them who are literally, they are not capable, or even they are not informed or cannot access this kind of information. Like Raphael has just said, I believe since we have the presence of the Prime Minister's Office representative of the youth in Directorate, they would be in a position to elaborate further, as Mr. Godfrey Chacha is still here. But in my point of view, I would say that we as organization, we have done and we are still doing our best to ensure that we have that youth inclusive strategies towards, bringing all youth together into the line. But one of the most difficult thing is coordination and organizing the youth. And it comes with a very deliberate challenge whereby some of the youth who have made it to the top ranks or top platforms or what, they tend to forget where they came from, and bringing out, you know, the help of the down root of the youth who we speak about, who are in the streets, and majority of our youth are not employed, and they lack that expository of opportunities and platforms. And if we have some of the few youth who can be in line of representing us as a youth in top level platform, whether at the UN or somewhere else at the international level, I think also the ministry, as Mr. Chacha, perhaps if we come to address this, maybe we could have elaboration how the inclusion of the youth in the streets and the rural area, they can have access to opportunities, but procedures, measures in representing us as the youth majority, it could be a catalyst towards solving how we bring them on board. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Peter, for your remarks. Yeah, in Tanzania, of course, we understand that we have young people in the lower level, in the grassroots, in the wards, the villages and the wards, district, then region, and at international level, we have the representatives. So in our structure, we have the national, we have the youth development officers at the regional level. Also, we have them at the local council level, and at the ward level, we have community development officers who are responsible to mobilize the youth and linking them to the opportunities available in their environment and the national village. So, and also in Tanzania, we have a number of partners who are working with the young people in different aspects of the health, economic empowerment, business development, and life skills. So what we are currently doing is to develop the national coordination framework where all actors working in youth development or who are implementing the national youth development policy have to be coordinated and mobilized to avoid the duplication of resources and to know who is where and working in what sector, so that we can coordinate them all, and also perhaps to have the national youth development implementers to see which area have more implementers in that is the stakeholders, because sometimes it can happen that some of the NGOs are working at the in cities, and they don't like to go to the rural areas to provide the services. So through our coordination and the Prime Minister's office, regional administration and local and the local councils, we have to allocate those or to direct those NGOs or international NGOs who are working with youth, even to work in the remote areas, so that those hard to reach youth have to be reached and also benefit from the services provided by the various development partners or stakeholders who are trying to support government initiative towards youth development. So that is how we work. And also we have the national forums for youth, for the youth. We have the National Youth Work, the National Youth Week, of whom it is commemorated on October from 8th to 14th every year, and in different regions. So it's the platform where young people also can meet and they have their they discuss issues relating to their affairs and also provide their deliberations to the government so that the government can work on their aspirations and the needs. So that is how we coordinate youth development issues at the national through our officers in the regions and the local councils and at the lower level in the wards. So we do have receive the reports in a quarterly basis. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for giving me this chance to
Thank
share.
you, Mr. Chacha, for responding to that quite a profound remark in response. And I believe the deliberation well noted, and would like to suggest that we can use more of the youth-led organization for inclusion in such platform. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for the response to the Prime Minister's office. I saw a hand that's raised by Faith. Faith. Okay, there is Mohammed Tabit. You're welcome.
Can everyone hear me? Okay, so my name is Faith Mate, and I said I'm a medical student. So one of the things that I have noticed is that many of the ways that you were speaking, it's like what you expect to implement. Like it's not in your action plan, or it's not in your strategic, maybe a 5-year strategic plan, or it's not in a stage where it's being implemented. As you can see, most of the people in the rural areas, many of them do not have access maybe to smartphones, or if they do, most of them would be like, for them to say maybe they sit down and engage in maybe Zoom activities, it's not quite that simple, because the importance, maybe it has not yet been emphasized to them, or they have not seen the importance to them. So maybe if I would like maybe to pose a question or something like, what is the thing that has already been implemented? What is the thing that is already in action to make sure that you're reaching out to people who are in marginalized areas, such that they cannot receive such help maybe through digital, maybe apart from digital means, what else do you do?
Thank you very much, Faith. Sorry, Faith, it happens we had some network glitch and your voice and sound is not coming precisely straight. Perhaps if you could please type your question so that we can clearly take note of it, because it happens that you had some scratches on your voice. Faith, do you hear me?
Yes, I heard you. Do you hear me?
Yes, your voice and sound had some scratches and we couldn't get properly your articulation of words. Yes, please do us type and I'll read out your question. And thank you very much for that sensitive question. Perhaps if there is anyone else to take in just a few questions before we wrap up. Yes, Faith, you can just type. You can just type. We'll read it out. Someone else with a question, please. And please take note if you're trying to ask a question, make sure your sound and your voice is audibly clear. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, everyone. So if you there are any other questions before, because we're approaching time, if there are any other questions. If not, then we can welcome our rapporteur so that he can present some of the notes and deliberations that we are also going to submit to the ministry after this meeting, and also we are going to share it with NAMYO. So in case you have any other
Mr.
questions, please, this is the time so that
I have a question.
Just a few minutes before we end it. Thank you.
I have a question. I hope you can hear me. Mr. Kingo?
Yes, we can hear you, Mohamed Sabi.
Yeah. I had Mr. Geoffrey from the Prime Minister office well, and I've understand him. The thing is that most of us who are in remote areas or in a street or rural areas, we don't get that education on how the government, how youth are being treated, how properly those formality, what he said, those formal ways on how to connect youth. So what I would like just to advise or to give just my comment on him, that he should work with you guys. For example, you Vijana think tank, let me just congratulate you because you're one of the people that even motivate me to put my mind on those international affairs, mostly to you, Mr. Kingo. Thank you so much on that. So also, I want to see that effort, the effort you as an organization you put on your fellow youth. The government should put the same, not just putting people's like those community, I don't know, those on ward or on districts, because I don't think that there is any power they use to initiate those youth on their areas, just like what you did. You know, many youth don't like stories, yeah? They want to see how do we do it and how can we do it. So most of those in the word, those readers they put, Mr. Geoffrey Chacha, I don't think they're working very properly on meeting the needs of the youth. So you should advise the PM on checking also those peoples who are in power, to empower our youth, and by just giving you, by also supporting those NGOs like you guys. Yeah, so as you can reach, you know, the government cannot do each and everything themselves. They need support. So one of the supports are those NGOs. NGOs you can support the government. You can work on behalf of the government. The places where the government does not work properly, you should not blame. We should not blame. You guys should initiate by the support of the government. That's my advice, and that's what I want to advise Mr. Chacha, to advise the PM. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mohamed Sabit. Maybe Mr. Chacha, you would like to respond? If not, then we can just proceed. Mr. Chacha.
Wait a minute. Hello, hi. So I'm here on behalf of Mr. Godfrey Chacha, whom you want him to clarify on the issues that has been raised by the previous speaker. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. You're welcome, Mr. Godfrey.
Yes, I just wanted to clarify on the matter that was raised by the previous speaker. And I also wanted you to know that the government is executing a policy that is called decentralization by devolution. So all the functions and roles on youth development and empowerment have been cascaded at the local government level as Mr. Godfrey Chacha has said, we have the regional and district youth development officers who are working on behalf of the central government. For the Prime Minister office, our responsibility is to ensure that we are coordinating youth development issues. We are responsible to develop policies and guidelines pertaining to youth development empowerment. That is our responsibility. When it comes to implementation part, when it comes to the work in mobilizing and sensitizing on youth development issues, this is why we are working with different stakeholders to ensure that they also complement on the government efforts. So the government, the central government cannot work by itself. That's why we are working with various stakeholders to ensure that youth, including rural youth, are also reached out with various opportunities. So we have regional and district youth development officers, and we also ensure that whatever the information that we are getting, whatever the opportunities being at the regional or international level, are being cascaded at the local government level. So all the information goes to the local government, and the youth officers at those levels are required to disseminate those kind of information. We like to use this platform to encourage youth to be more inquisitive in finding information relevant to them. So if they could go to the district council where we have youth officers, perhaps they could get more information relating to whatever the affairs that are affecting on their matters. So I would like to just put that kind of emphasis to let them understand that the central government work is on the coordination, monitoring, evaluation, and also put in place a mechanism to ensure that youth development are well coordinated and implemented at local government level. The other thing that I want to add on is that whenever we have, yes. Mr. Godfrey?
Hello, I'm back, so I would like to also to add to what Ms. Masawe had just saying. Yeah, and also to respond to the previous speaker on how he was just let's say wondering that how the word the personnel or district or regional personnel do work to ensure inclusivity of youth in programs. Yeah, I would like to elaborate clearly that our role as the government is to create conducive and enabling environment for various players to make sure that young people are empowered and also coordinated. So creation that enabling environment is our role, the role of government, to make sure that there are good policies, there are good programs. So we cannot satisfy the need of the people as the government. The needs of the people are satisfied, of young people are satisfied through programs we are developing or we are implementing. So those programs are the one which are going to respond to the needs of young people. The government has created the initiative to facilitate young people who are enterprising to access funding. So we have at the local government, we have 10%, and at the ministry level, we have youth development fund. So those funds are accessed by by young people from all over through all levels from the district. Because young people are mobilized from groups or individuals to plan or generate viable business ideas which they can implement so that they can earn their living economically, because most of the young people need to be economically empowered. Yeah. Other needs are coming across. If the young people are economically empowered, they have funds to cater their demands. I think everything could be clear to them. Even education, they can access education because they have funds. They can even access programs. Even they can access computers or smartphones so that they can access various information digitally. So that is the role of the government, to make sure that intentional programs are developed, and to coordinate those NGOs or CSOs which are supporting the government, make sure that those programs have to include young people, both those with special needs and those who are living in the remotes, and even those who are living in cities. Those, all of them have to access the fruits of their nation. So that's what we are doing. And also, at the umbrella of the CSOs, Nakongo, we have the representative of youth NGOs to coordinate all NGOs working with youth. So, and they are responding and they are giving us feedback on the NGOs and how they are performing. So that's the way we are coordinating. Yeah, we cannot be in a uniform way like other countries, but we are trying to use the structures which can fit our environment. So that's the way we are doing work, and we are collaborating with the NGOs, the youth NGOs and international NGOs to support the young people from the grassroots. Thank you.
Mr. Chacha, thank you very much, and also Mr. Godfrey Masawe and the whole Prime Minister's office. By the way, I would like to congratulate the Prime Minister's office because, frankly, we just engaged in at a really short notice, like last week. But we even this week we got a meeting with the permanent secretary, also together with the director of youth, the assistant director. Today they promised that they would be here, but they made their effort. So actually, what I would like to tell my fellow young people is that the government is ready to complement on our efforts. The government is ready to work with us. So what we can do is that to engage with them and also see how we can work together with them, because of course they don't have solutions to each and everything, but as young people, our role also, we have an important role of also even fostering development, and that's why we are today, the session is even focused on the role of youth in global cooperation. If we have a role in global cooperation, it also means we have the role in fostering development within our domestic and community level. So this is very important, and also young people, we also have that responsibility and role besides the ministry. What I can also highlight is that our meeting also this week with the ministry, we also even talked about access to information, these things. The ministry is working on initiating what is called Vijana Portal, which we are working with them. So there are initiatives that are coming into access information, and also other initiatives that are coming also through engagement and continuous engagement with young people. We are expecting Wiki ya Vijana, which is in Swahili means the Youth Week. So the Youth Week also gives us another platform of fully and holistically engaging young people during that week, and spreading not only information but also opportunities. So guys, since we are out of time, maybe I just welcome our rapporteur to wrap it up and say some of the deliberation and actions that can be carried forward. So thank you very much. and welcome Siegfried to give us a wrap up.
Thank you, everybody. And as I've been introduced by Mr. Kingu, I'll be just giving a quick recap of what you guys have been discussing this whole time. And to start, that we heard from Mr. Mamadov, from a member from NAMYO. Yeah, he just stressed out from the introduction of NAM and NAMYO, and he speaks about the membership of NAM members. It includes Africa, Asian, and Latin Americans. Also, the platform that it encourages cross-cultural cooperation and diversity, world that inclusivity of every nation. I know he also said that NAM it include many of the members are African countries, and it's have almost now 120 members. Also, we heard from Ms. Teresa. She just stressed out more in NAMYO, NAM Youth Organization, and how the importance of youth in fostering global cooperation. And I've noticed that members speak much about importance of youth in fostering global peace. You know, peace, it's a drive for cooperation. So Ms. Teresa, both Teresa and Mama Dog speak about global peace. Also, we heard from Mr. Igor from Russia. He just puts on emphasis on Russia-Africa Summit and the organization called Russia-Africa What Next. Also, he spoke about opportunities that are available for African students and African youth there in Asia, and the cross-cultural activities that are conducted by Russia and Tanzania and Russia and Africa youth. Also hear from Honorable Marewe from Zimbabwe. He gave his experience there in Baku back in days. Also, he also put emphasis on young people fostering global cooperation through engagement in making decision and decision in global peace. And we got a really wonderful time to hear representative from the Tanzanian government, Mr. Chacha and Mr. Masawe. They also stressed out the role that the government have to empower youth and to empower organizations that are dealing with youth activities. Also, they speak that how you now they can use all those opportunities. Yeah, she gave a wonderful speech about all those responsibilities that youth have in global cooperation, including participation in UN summits.
So I see Siegfried is having a bit of a challenge, but yes, we share this the outcome of this meeting, and without further ado, we like to thank each and everyone for your participation and for all that you know, you have stayed here for almost more than 2 hours. You know, this is really commendable. And we promise you guys that this is not going to be the last engagement with NAMYO. Also, these are not going to be the last engagement with NAMYO, also together with the Ministry of Youth, or the Ministry responsible for youth. So we are going to have more of these activities and occasions, but this was just the first one so that we can, it was meant for creating awareness and also engaging with Tanzania young people and also other young people from the NAM youth member states. So thank you very much. Maybe for my colleague before we end.
I would like to thank everyone who participated with us since the first session had begun. You have shown how actively participated you are in this conversation. We would like to thank the panelists or the speakers that spoke today, and for everyone who had actively participated in this conversation. So we'd like to tell you that we will participate and collaborate more in other dialogues, in other campaigns, especially to to make awareness to the youth of different global cooperation in the world or mostly in our communities and our country. So I'd like to thank you all for the active participation and wish you a happy week. A happy weekend. Let's play to begin. Thank you.
We can take a last photo before we leave. Maybe you can turn your cameras on, guys. Okay. Okay, we have managed to capture the picture. Thank you very much, guys. I hope we can keep on collaborating, and also we thank you. Bye. Have a nice weekend.
Okay, thank you. The same to you.
Bye.
Thank you so much. Have a nice weekend. Bye.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys. Thank you for your cooperation. Wish you luck.